Hi everybody, you're watching the Quench Academy and this is Shweta Aluwalia, your host for Detox to Detox Listening Ear series. Listening ears because when you are heard, you heal. Honestly, this entire week has been unusual for me. What seemed to have been a good week culminating last Sunday was jarred by the news about Sushant Singh Rajput's suicide. And trust me, I have not been able to breathe fine, think fine, even sleep fine ever since. His image has been preying upon my mind. Everywhere I go, everything I do, every thought I have is backdropped by his image. That charming face, a success story that made you feel proud. Of a small town boy to have traveled so far professionally was commendable. So today I want to touch base with matters that truly matter. You know what? Everything that can be counted does not count, and everything that counts cannot be counted. So if you want to know and understand who are the people who are more susceptible around you to commit suicide, take their own life, if you want to know how to recognize the symptoms of a person fiddling with such thoughts, if you want to know what can you do to help heal such a person, and if you want to know the tips to build a strong connect with your loved ones who may be struggling, today's episode is for you. This session is my humble effort. Sorry, guys, it seemed as overwhelmed I am to share my views on this sensitive topic. So is the server, and so are the internet connections. So let me resume the session. So, after Sushant Singh's episode last week, the first thought that popped in my head was, is our education preparing us for handling rejections and failures at all? Because the research backed data claims otherwise. At any given point in history, if you pull out data, be it 10 years back, 50 years back, 100 years back, or beyond, to understand success and failure, it has always been 20% people successful in the world and 80% people striving to be successful and struggling. You may Google to read about the 80-20 theory by Wilfredo Pareto. So if 80% people struggle and have always struggled, statistically, it's a status quo. Should our education not be designed to cater to this bigger population in any academic institute or anywhere? How many students do you remember in your school years who were teachers' favorites, who excelled at academics? Four or five out of a class of 40, 50? So, how come all the events, ceremonies, functions, programs, everything about school life was scripted to celebrate the success of only top 20%? Why such lopsided approach of our education system? For that matter, even within our families where children are supposed to be loved, taken care of, wished well for, how come the official suicide statistics and records of India state that every hour 11 people in India commit suicide and out of that one is a student? How come Kota, which is the education hub in India, is recognized better as suicide capital of India? Now these are all thoughts worth pondering. Both rejection and failure have zillions of manifestations. A child falling short on parents' academic expectations, a girl or a boy refusing your proposal, an opportunity being yanked out of your grip and handed over to someone else, you not being the preferred one to be the in group of a school, college, or place of work. Your complexion, height, weight, score, pedigree ain't the right shape, size, make, or feel. You just falling and failing to live up to the world's benchmarks on the various parameters of success. And remember, 80% people always fall short. So, who is preparing us? Are you confident that you could? And if you have children around you, are you confident that they can deal with the harsh, hurtful, critical, absolutely mean, and in some cases, inhumane treatment the world serves you with? Suicide. Everyone who is born will have to be gone someday. Suicide is just another way of people leaving the planet. So, what makes suicide gorier, more gross? Trust me, guys, if you knew the statistics, you would not ignore suicide next time you heard or read about it. It is no less than a pandemic. But what makes it worse is that it is a self inflicted pandemic. Let's nosedive into some stats for a reality check. The stats which will leave you nervous. The stats which will have chills running down your spine. The stats that at least had me with knots in my belly. Real pandemic. What is the real pandemic? The entire world is freaking out over coronavirus pandemic, so-called COVID-19. But do you know the stats of suicide? Wait, let me share. Till date, the world has lost some 4.5 lakh people to COVID 19. However, the world loses every year 800,000 people to suicide, which is 8 lakh people every year lost to suicide. So, come to think of it, that's the statistics of reality check. COVID, which scares everybody, is it as scary as suicide, which we don't even give the due acknowledgement it deserves? So, I just shared with you the kind of number that we lose to suicide. And trust me, the 800,000 numbers are far greater than if I were to put all the numbers that the world loses to accidents and all the battlefields that are kept active and engaged world over. All those numbers put together are not as big as the numbers that suicide claims every year. Now, so one person in every 40 seconds takes his life somewhere in the world. And the Indian stats are absolutely unnerving. Indian statistics says that 1 lakh people commit suicide in India annually, and out of 1 lakh, 10,000 are students. So 1/10 of your population that chooses to take their own life is a student. Each story of such a person has a unique beginning. It has its own middle. However, each story has the same end, people choosing to kill themselves. Strange, it is the body that is punished for the doings of the mind. And statistically, empirically, enough data corroborates that almost 50% people in the world have suicidal thoughts more than often. So every second person you see around yourself has had these kind of thoughts at least more than once. Now, let us throw some light on the kind of issues that raise this perfect storm of negative emotions in a person and pushes the person to reach that edge of the cliff where he takes the plunge into this horrific act. Let me share the issues that raise. The kind of issues that raise a perfect storm of negative emotions in a person's head are years of unending depression, education's focus on celebrating winning and admonishing losing, humans and their desperate need to be liked, desire to be a part of the inner circle at school, college, or place of work, loneliness even when in a crowd, people being completely messed up in their heads and life. And remember, hurt people hurt people. Insensitive parenting, constant criticism, absence of appreciation, body shaming, sexual harassment, and character assassination. These are just 13 reasons why people feel pushed against the wall. 13 reasons why. The Netflix hit web series first aired in the United States in 2017. About 13 reasons why a young high school girl, Hannah Baker, takes her own life. The 13 reasons at school that are responsible for her decision. The web series was an instant huge hit, for it drove the message home powerfully about what all goes on at schools, which parents are totally oblivious to, and schools are ill prepared to deal with. So, be it Sushant Singh Rajput or Jia Khan, be it Robin Williams, Kurt Cobain, or the 30 Korean pop stars in just few previous years, one after the other, these celebrities chose to take their own life. And that has put spotlight on the multi-billion dollar entertainment industry, which is supposedly the epitome of success across the world. Entertainment industry which thrives on addictive number game, high production value, trend-setting moves, and life-defining style, which makes these celebrities virtually a living phenomenon. But trust me, behind all this glamour and glitz, the reality is a grim. These celebrities in entertainment industry live under intense work pressure, extreme media scrutiny, traumatizing online bullying, and industry inside lobbying. Because remember, it is the 20% of the world which excels in any industry, in every industry, that controls everything around us. So, all of that has multiple negative ripple effects on the well being of these people. And they are forced to, and let me also share with you that imagine the kind of pressure it must put to be forced to live a picture perfect, flawless life 24/7, 365 days, months, weeks, moments of their life. Suicide by a celebrity brings our attention to success. What is success? Is success about value of material goods that you possess, or is success about the value system that you live by? Do celebrities' success suicides lead to more suicides? Trust me, unfortunately, as I say this, my heart feels a thud. In many cases, yes. For instance, just Sunday, previous Sunday, we lost Sushant Singh. And ever since then, we have come across some four odd youngsters having chosen to take their life, inspired by Sushant Singh's decision. So, and this is not now, it has always been observed that every time someone famous takes his or her life, you see a spike in the numbers. When the iconic, for example, symbol, Marilyn Monroe, took her life in 1962, the suicide rates in US jumped to 12% higher. Even in India, Sushant Singh's suicide has had reportage of people being inspired and doing the same. Suicide by a celebrity seems like a validation for those who are mentally troubled and contemplating the final act. So let us now peep into the mind space of a suicider. The most basic idea behind anyone who commits suicide is a desperate desire to avoid pain and misery. I get it. If I woke up each day living a shitty life, even I would want to end it. I understand. The thoughts playing on the inner tape are, trust me, tumultuous. Let me run a checklist with you. Have you ever heard your inner voice telling you that you are worthless? It ain't getting any better. No matter where you are, where you turn, there is just no escape. The sufferings are unbearable. It is better for everyone if you are gone. Everywhere you see, there is a catastrophe. You can't seem to have a path forward whatsoever. And have you ever heard the world around you tell you, you are nobody, you are nothing, you don't even deserve to live, you are not pretty enough, you are not tall enough, you're not smart enough, others are far better. Now imagine what a person goes through, a person who has himself talking to himself like that, or who has the outer world talking to him like that. I totally understand how strongly compelled this kind of a person must feel to end everything. But the story does not end here. Trust me, guys, whatever shame, depression, anxiety, and frustration you feel, it is acceptable. Just remember, these are just thoughts. These thoughts trick you. You are tricked by these thoughts to make you feel a certain way emotionally. And had, if you've had a suicide thought bubble ever hovering over your conscious mind, instigating you to take a critical decision, like hang from a ceiling, jump off the cliff, take those pills, slice your wrist, pull the trigger. These are just thoughts stirring your emotions. And these thoughts sweet talk to you and hoodwink you to believe that do this and you shall finally be at peace. So, what if I told you now? What if I told you that I can suggest you a way, a trick, a technique to hoodwink and befool these tempting thoughts instead? And without changing anything in your real environment or circumstances, you can change your mental state completely and deal with the demon more effectively. Just like you can control the speed of a vehicle by pressing the pedals or speed of a fan by maneuvering the knob, and I'm not going to claim that I know what you are dealing with because I do not. And I'm not even going to say that I know how much it pains because I do not. But one thing that I know for sure is that suicide is just a thought in your head and you can manipulate it rather than letting it manipulate you. For instance, in today's world, imagine if someone dies of a grave disease like a COVID or a cancer. It is sad because the person wanted to survive and everybody was trying to save him but couldn't. However, if someone dies of a minor finger cut and dies because this person chooses not to attend to it and chooses to let it bleed endlessly, would it not be sheer foolish and stupid? No. Depression, anxiety, frustration, pain, disillusion. I understand all of this. And all of this is a normal process of living, surviving. For instance, for instance, imagine if everyone around you is nice to you and you're happy. Is that ordinary or is that extraordinary? If everyone around you is mean and you're still happy, is that ordinary or is that extraordinary? If everyone is helpful, caring, concerned, kind, and encouraging, and you're happy, is that ordinary or is that extraordinary? And if everyone around you is mean, manipulative, unhelpful, sabotaging, bitching, and gossiping about you, but you are still happy, is that ordinary or is that extraordinary? Long story short, who is tougher? Those who have nice people, nice things to hear, nice things happening to them, or those who have none of that, who are otherwise? Those who do not have nice people, who do not have nice words, who do not have nice stuff happening to them, who is tougher? So if you have had a rough life, you are far tougher than the rest of the world because each of the negative thought, negative emotion is damn strong an emotion. And each and every person is sent with his fixed share of each and every single emotion. Love, peace, calm, dejection, humiliation, pain, all of us are bound to live all of these emotions throughout our life. Hence, suicide is not cowardly at all. It is being self absorbed and totally indifferent to our loved ones, to our friends, to our family. That is cowardly. So now let us understand how to win this mind game because suicide is nothing but a mind game. Winning and losing is nothing but a mind game. So if you can let the negative emotion dwells and muddle your head and corrupt your thoughts, and each of these negative thoughts is, trust me, super, super powerful and strong thoughts. And these thoughts are being generated by you in your mind, and these thoughts, you let them work against you and not for you. That means you are strong enough to cause illness to yourself because you are the one who is generating these thoughts in your head. You're entertaining these thoughts in your head that are completely self destructive. So you are strong enough to create these thoughts which have the power to physiologically cripple you. Physiologically cripple you. Trust me, pathological illness that is clinically called an ill person is just a small percentage. If you looked at the number of people who die every year in this world, and these people who die of illness, trust me, these people who die of clinical illness is a very, very small percentage. And the rest of the world, almost 80% of the world, who so called dies of a clinically diagnosed illness are people who are themselves responsible because it is their thoughts that have led to medical complications in their organs and body. So, your negative thoughts are very powerful. They have the control to control the health of your organs, to control the health of what releases in your body. And they can actually make you physiologically ill. So, if you are strong enough to generate thoughts and emotions that work against you, I bet you are strong enough to generate thoughts and emotions that can help you live a healthy and strong life. So the line between sanity and insanity is, trust me, very, very thin. People can be pushed to crazy limits easily. So every time you get angry, you are pushing your line, your boundary of sanity. Try an experiment. If for 3 months you decide to get angry every hour, so you decide to get angry every hour at a fixed time for 3 months, by the end of third month, you will have medical complications. Absolutely. So that's what your thoughts can do. Your thoughts can make you sick, make you completely sick, physiologically sick. Now let's look at the 5 signs to recognize. How do you know who is the person around you, your loved ones, your near and dear ones, who is suffering and who probably has a higher susceptibility to fall prey to such thoughts? So, number one, struggling with career financially. If you have any loved one who's struggling with career financially, please be careful. Dealing with discord or rebuke at workplace. If you have any view of what the person deals with at workplace, please be careful. Constant family or relationship conflict, a disloyal partner or a disagreeing, nagging partner. Inferiority complexes that person has about the way the person is. And lastly, survival collapse due to some kind of fatal medical reasons. These are the kind of 5 situations that you need to be very, very, very off. Now, let's look at the signs that you can tap and you can take an account of and be very careful. First sign that these people give away is start to neglect their friends or any activity which usually is fun. You see them withdrawing themselves from these fun activities or people who generally are fun to be around. Number two, they seem to display swinging sleeping and eating pattern. Insomnia at one extreme and sleeping at long hours at the other extreme, and likewise with eating habits. Third, they seem to indulge in self-pity, self-loathing, and express lower self-esteem. They don't talk highly of themselves. Fourth, their mood seems to plummet, dip. They are now slightly short-fused, irritable, and simply flat emotions is what they display. And fifth sign is you might even notice them to exercise decreased sense of hygiene. So these are the kind of 5 signs that you can make a note of and be on an alert. Now, let us talk about the 5 ways that you can heal these people around you if you exercise and use these 5 ways. Number one, when you are heard, you heal. So first of all, first and foremost, I would like to request everyone who's listening, start to oil and grease your communication channels. Listen, 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 and listen to people around you who matter to you. Enlist the kind of friends and family who really matter to you. And listen to what they're saying. They may be using language, words to tell you, they may be using non-verbal language to communicate. Statistically, it is postulated that every person who ever committed suicide wanted to be heard, hugged, and held, and was desperately dropping signals and cues and signs about his state of mind. And only if we had not been as absorbed as we are and not as gruesomely indifferent to them, we may just have had them around us. Reason number two, make a routine, a chart. Whatever is scheduled is likely to be done. So just like wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, just like offer prayers before you start to eat, just like saying thank you for every time someone does something nice to you, one of the most essential needs of the body, trust me guys, is not food, water, air, and sex. It is appreciation. So you will be surprised to know that empirically, statistically, research-based data says that this is one of the most deprived need in any person, appreciation. And by this I mean we worry as hell about our children and our family being fed a balanced diet. That means we want our people to have nutrients like proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals, so that our bodies are built stronger and our bodies are disease free and we are energized. However, where is our diet plan for appreciation? If our body needs these nutrients, our mind needs appreciation to be positive, healthy, and strong. Who is feeding all this to our mind, and where is our daily diet plan for feeding our mind? So, life will have its dose of tough rice, trust me, I'm not denying. When it will be absolutely shitty, nothing will work and may seem to work. That is the time when what you tell yourself makes a huge difference. And what you tell yourself is built with what you grew up listening to about yourself. Criticism or appreciation from the adults around you at home and in school. Trust me, I have people around me who are school counselors. Some of my students today counsel at elite schools across India. And when I sit with them and when we talk about the kind of experiences they have, trust me, I have chills run down my spine. Because these people who are professionally trained, skilled counselors have stories. I shouldn't call them stories, they're nightmares they share that teachers are insensitive. Come to think of it, how many teachers do we remember in our life? At least we must have, all of us must have been through 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 odd teachers in our entire life. Out of these teachers, how many teachers do we really remember and cherish knowing? After this question, I must have posed this question to dime a dozen people. And till date, I have yet to have one person give me double digit figure. So when I ask people how many teachers do you remember fondly and you thank God that they happened to you, I get to be told three, four, five, six maximum. What were the rest of the teachers doing to us? Were they not supposed to be building our personalities, our value systems to handle failures and rejection? When 80% of us struggle with those, were they not supposed to handhold us and build our confidence and build our potential and capability to deal with it effectively? So imagine these counselors are the ones who are trying to strike a balance between what the teachers should be doing and how the student or child has to be handled. So, guys, all of us who send our sweethearts to school every day, we know nothing about what the kids go through. If your child is among the top 20%, God bless him or her. But if not, God bless him and Lord bless her. So we have to be sensitive to what we feed our children, appreciation or criticism. Do you hear yourself being told or telling that you don't tidy your room right? You don't have good enough handwriting? You eat clumsily? You're slower than most of the kids? Your grades are not respectable enough? You are not fairer, taller, smarter, faster, tidier, quicker than others? Have you heard all of that, or have you heard others tell this to you ever? Because if that be the case, harsh, hurtful, critical words is what you say to yourself each time you are rejected, each time you are slapped with a sense of failure, because that is what you grew up listening to. And if you have children, if that is the feedback they receive from their adult world, that is how they are growing up too. The data establishes that that is the major cause of feeling depressed. That is what we tell ourselves when the times are trying. And that becomes the perfect prerequisite for suicidal tendencies. So make appreciation a part of your daily menu, not only for your children, for yourself, for your loved ones, your partners, your friends, your colleagues, your bosses, everybody around you. Make appreciation a part of your daily menu that you serve to yourself and you serve to the rest of the world. Number three, depression versus feeling depressed. By the way, these two feelings are not the same. When you say, I am going through depression, you're unnecessarily tagging yourself with a very critical mental state of being. Vis-a-vis what you actually may be feeling, that is feeling depressed. And feeling depressed is a prolonged state of sadness. Now, severe clinical depression, you know what, is not what most people feel. Most people are witnessed tagging a bad day at work, a goofed up delivery in performance, And a screwed up conversation with friends or loved ones, an argument, a failing relationship, loss of a loved one as depression. Depression is not the same as feeling depressed. Severe pathological depression is not just that. A person suffering with severe medical pathological depression, a clinical depression, is neurologically wired differently. It is not just a mood swing. Patients of acute depression are totally non functional. Their bodies just shut down. They don't get up, they don't get dressed, they don't bathe, they don't talk, they have zero motivation to move. Their body and mind is flatlining. So, we have this collective confusion about what is depression. It is not just sadness. Both being sad or feeling depressed and depression are similar in many ways. Both groups cry, both groups withdraw themselves from the outer world, both groups experience lifelessness, and both groups feel alienated. The categorical difference, however, is that sad people know why they are sad. Depressed people may not even be able to pinpoint the reason why they are sad. It is a mental state of being where the reason is very difficult to take on board. And the reason is pushes the person in the outer zone of consciousness. And from there, it breaks hell loose over the overall well being of the person. Depression is sadness that has forgotten its cause. A patient of clinical depression may require clinical attention. And most people who feel depressed may have episodes of being grief stricken over prolonged periods, thus leading to hopelessness and eventually suicidal tendencies crop. These people need you, these people need help in creating their environment. So either you can help them change their environment, or you can help them experience change of place, or you can help them change their place. Like, I'll give you some tips. Help them weed out the negative triggers and replace them with positive stimulants. For example, if I have had a breakup, few things may remind and trigger memories of the person who I lost. So now you can replace those things or remove those things that trigger those negative emotions. Second, immediately introduce positive elements in your environment. Bring things which make you happy. Introduce things or people or things, whatever, that make you happy. It can be a comic flick, it can be friends who are fun, it can be anything. Just introduce those things. Then third thing, those that can't be removed or can't be built can't be built different associations with. For example, if a child is preparing for a prestigious exam and if this person fails, dampen the significance of the exam and replace it with another more promising career goal. Why should this child be made to feel that if this exam didn't happen, his life is not worth living? So just reduce the significance given to the exam and replace it with something more promising for this child, so that the child doesn't die with the guilt of having brought shame to his family. Now, strategy number four can be always have a plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow means preparing for the future. Remember, future is symbolic of hope, because whenever you plan tomorrow, you're planning to do things. You pen down your to-do list that I will do this and I will do this and I will accomplish all this. So whenever you're thinking about future, you're thinking about things that need to be done. So whenever you're planning a to-do list, you're thinking about things that you can do. And whenever you are sad and feeling depressed, it is because you're focusing on the past, things that happened in the past, which bring back the sadness. So most people don't have plan for tomorrow. So make it a habit. Don't go to bed without writing your plan for tomorrow. Plans are constructive, positive, and hopeful. So the person subconsciously trains his mind to look forward to do something when you tell them to plan. So especially so rather than being hopeless and hurt, plan and prepare. And fifth way that you can trick your brain is keep yourself physically active, because physically being active in any form, like a trek in the woods, play with your pets, play with children, take a long walk with friends, any form of physical activity It changes your physiology, and physiologically, when you are wiring differently your body, you obviously feel a different emotional gush. Now, how you hack the tough times is based on the healthy routines that you build and live. And these routines are to be founded in your good times, not in your bad times. So the foundation of healthy routines are laid in the good times and made a routine of and followed religiously. Chances are, in bad and tough times, you have stronger roots to hold on to. I will share now a small video clipping, and that shares some 10 tips that you can use to help your friends who you may sense are going through tough phase, who you may sense are displaying signals of being in troubled state of being. So use these 10 tips, even if you can use some of them, it just may help your loved ones cling on a little longer and sail through the trying times. Number one, make sure you create an environment where they feel safe. Inject oxytocin. Oxytocin, the love hormone. Bring a pet for them or get them to play with kids. Number two, find out their love language and show them love regularly. The book Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman illustrates the five love languages people have. Write something appreciative and heartwarming to them or get them to start writing. It helps express. Number three, show them affection in a physical way. Sit with them, hold their hands, hug them, squeeze their shoulder, touch them in any appropriate way. Number four, engage them in activities. If there are kids process emotions through play, stories, hug, and rough playing. Girls process emotions through social bonding and self-care. So activities like shopping, spa, body massage together. And boys process emotions through physical challenges like Boy Scout, high adventure, etc. Number five, introduce meaningful social cause to them. Number six, sit with them. You may do your own thing while they are busy doing theirs. Just being with them helps. Number seven, go for an outing. Walk in the woods, take the pet out for a stroll, out on a trip with friends. Number eight, encourage them to pursue some hobbies together. Either find theirs or discover something together. Number nine, invite them over to engage in something ridiculous, hilarious, or just some chores like mowing, fishing, some games, some sports. Just be with them because loneliness kills. Number 10, last but not the least, music, nature, and expressive creative art forms help heal. Many a times, no talking is required. Just being with them helps. So I know it is difficult when you care deeply about someone, but that person is too muddled, too absorbed in his misery and doesn't want to talk. But hang in there, just keep connecting with them and let them know that you are available for them and they can count on you in whatever way that you can best make it work between you and them. So thank you so much for being a part of this episode of Detox to Detox Listening Ears. It was very overwhelming for me to have spent past few days working on this session because this is something which is like a demon looming over our families. We never know when is it going to find one of our weaklings in the family and engulf them. So please, please, please take hold of your loved ones, reach out to your loved ones, check with them for their if, in case they need help, and be there with them. They don't need anything, they just need listening ears, a heart that reaches out to them, and patient listening is all they need. So thank you so much. See you next week, same time, 4:30 p.m. with another episode of Detox to Detox. Till then, have a great weekend ahead. It was wonderful catching up with all of you. Thank you. Be healthy, be safe, be loved, and loved.